Jump in the chat, say hello. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear it. Today, I'm going to talk about the State of the Union address. Specifically, a couple of interesting Masonic connections therein. This is non-political in that, however you feel about Donald Trump, positive or negative, I mean, either is fine. It's not what this is about. This is rather about some interesting Masonic connections that popped up in the State of the Union address. Two interesting connections specifically. The first, the gavel that was displayed in front of, if I recall correctly, the Speaker of the House or the Vice President. I think it was actually displayed in front of the Speaker of the House. Let me just double check. Speaker Mike Johnson. Hold on just one sec. Let me see if I can remember where it was displayed. Anyways, it was displayed behind the president, either in front of the vice president or the Speaker of the House. From Potomac Lodge No. 5, Free Ancient Accepted Masons, F.A.A.M. basically. And then also a Masonic pin, to my knowledge, was spotted during the State of the Union. One member, a World War II veteran who was honored by the president, was wearing a Masonic pin, if I understand correctly. So I'm going to be talking about that. But that is after the first hour. The first hour, we just hang out, wait to see who joins, and chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. Bit of snow here in Windsor yesterday, but it calmed down, so didn't really stick, which I'm happy about because we've been getting a ton of snow. So I'll take it. For the time being, though, let's see who jumps in the chat to say hello. And any thoughts on Freemasonry? Again, positive, negative, or neutral. Thank you to everybody who's been taking part in my Push for Better push-up challenge. We are almost done. 2,000 push-ups in 23 days, which is crazy to think. So, but let's give it some time for the time being. Let's give it some time for now, and let's see who joins. I am weird. War is stupid. You're not wrong about that. But I don't mind being weird. Being weird is fun. Keeps things interesting. How's it going? War is stupid. Kentai, hello. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. I hope that you're doing well. But when you say war is stupid, I'm curious. Um, I mean, that's obviously, I think most people would agree, if not stupid, terrible. But is that meant to reference any specific wars, or is that just in general? I loved it. I have no idea if it helped membership or not, but I loved that episode, Jason Bender. It's called Homer the Great. I used to call it the Stonecutters episode, but it's called Homer the Great, and it's a great episode. Genuinely, I enjoy it quite a bit. Okay. Out of curiosity, how did you come across this stream? Did you Out of curiosity, were you searching for stuff about Freemasonry? Do you have any questions about Freemasonry? I forget if you've been on here before. I mean, I don't recognize the name, and I feel like I would. But let me know if you haven't on this stream before, and if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. I stream every day, Mondays through Fridays, 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. So, Kentai. Well, you've been here before, though, right, Kentai? Like, you've been here before. But I am always curious to know how people find my streams because obviously, if, for example, people are discovering it through browsing, then I want to focus more on content for browsing. It seems, though, that by and away, the majority of discovery is being done through vertical live streaming. So that's probably where I need to focus my energies and my efforts. It's going well, Mario Heat. How's your day going? Busy, busy, just at work. There you go. So yeah, so vertical live streaming is definitely becoming the way the majority of people find my stream. War is due, but I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. I also hope that you will be so kind as to potentially turn on the notification bell when you subscribe. That way, whenever I'm streaming or producing content, you'll get a notification. I need to work on that and figure out precisely how to do that, Mirror Heat. It'd be a good idea to do both, that's for sure. I mean, you can have it is. I've seen it before, but I can't quite figure out how to make it work yet because I think you need actual streaming software. You have to do it through software, to my knowledge, not just through, like I use my phone to stream. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. You can be, I mean, you can be critical of whomever you want, Kentai, but if weird things are happening in your life, my suggestion would be it might not be because of the Masons, it might be because of choices you're making or just bad luck. Instead of looking for external reasons, start with the internal. Um, and if by weird you mean potentially illegal or dangerous, then obviously the authorities are where you need to go ASAP. Well, I mean, I don't know what your last name is, but I mean, I find many, not necessarily gravestones, but I mean, Adamson is my last name. It's pretty common. So, I mean, I think things like that can just happen sometimes, right? Um, so it's not something that I would find shocking. Well, honestly, I don't mind you, Click, because you say a lot of nonsense, but it's nothing that is like super challenging, right? You just speak, well, not challenging, that's not the right word. You just speak a lot of nonsense, but it's nothing that like is mean or cruel or anything like that or foolish in a way I can understand. It's just a bunch of nonsense. So you have the right to say that. You know, I never see any accusations or dumb accusations or anything like that. So, Click, it seems like you want to be kind of the enemy of this stream or something, but you're not. Like I said, you don't make any accusations. You post a lot of weird stuff, but nothing that's illegal or mean or foolish in like a attacking way. It's just a lot of stuff I don't understand. Well, I wouldn't say that, Click. I have interest in scripture. I don't necessarily believe it to be literal, but I mean, part of it is, and I brought this up before, right? I'm a Freemason. As a Freemason, I should care about not, I guess not simply one type of scripture like Christian scripture. I should care about scriptures of various religions because I could be sitting in lodge next to a Muslim, someone who's Jewish, someone who's Hindu, Sikh, whatever it might be. And so, as a consequence of that, I should care about what other people think and their religious beliefs and understandings. I think it's relatively important. We're saying, if you're asking the depth of my scriptural understanding, then I'll be the first to admit it's relatively shallow. I don't claim to be a religious expert by any means. Right? I do have, I believe, a fair bit of knowledge on Freemasonry, but I mean, Masons could have been a plantation owner in South America. I wouldn't know. I mean, Masons come from all walks of life, including some not so great ones, right? I mean, but I mean, again, George Washington was a Freemason. He owned slaves. So, if you're just joining, please hit like, please hit subscribe, consider doing a super chat. I'm going to be talking about the State of the Union after the first 60 minutes. Afternoon MD Myth. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you'll take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. Well, actually, you've already subscribed. Hit the like button. He could be, but again, he's not saying anything that's going to get him kicked out. Well, I don't know Kent is trolling or just misunderstanding reality, but I would be potentially trying to seek professional help. In fairness, I've been to South America for Masonic events. I've been there twice. I've been to Rio de Janeiro and Bogota, Colombia, and both of which were absolutely incredible. I loved it very much. Bogota is beautiful, by the way. So, um, nothing but respect for Bogota and Rio de Janeiro, two absolutely gorgeous places. In general, the people in South America, I'll say this. I heard a lot of people talking before I left, talking kind of poop about South America, saying it was, dangerous or scary. I did not find that at all. I found it actually really beautiful. Um, so, and the people very friendly. I never felt unsafe. So I loved it. Just for the record. We're just hanging out for the time being. Again, 45 minutes from now, once we're done the first 60 minutes, I'm going to start talking about the State of the Union and a couple Masonic symbols or artifacts found during the broadcast, I guess, including the George Washington Gavel and a pin. Uh, I'd be very upset. The logical penguin. I mean, it depends on what happened. So if it was my YouTube channel was removed, the first thing I would do is I would appeal the decision, which it is possible to appeal, you know, a decision made by YouTube. And I have known people who've had their YouTube channels removed, and then after an appeal have got their YouTube channels back. Um, so there is that. Second, if I had other channels, I would focus on them. And third, I would try to focus on what I do still have left. So, is there still a roof over my head? Is there still food in my stomach and in my fridge? Do I still have friends? If I have all of that, then hopefully I have a sufficient amount I have sufficient amounts to move forward, continuing. So, well, what was the false information they claimed that you gave? Did they give you a specific issue as to false information? Like, what was the false information that they claimed? And Mary brings up a good point. You have to back up your videos to a hard drive. Um, right? That is a very good point as well. I don't know. I mean, the other thing is, beyond doing that, I mean, hold on just 1 second. YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to what happened other than I don't know if there's a way to multiple appeal, but I hope that for whatever it's worth, I mean, I hope you keep up with your other channels. And who knows, maybe if you appeal again, they might at least give you a better explanation as to why. Um, Yeah, no, you have to back up your videos and your files. Although, again, if YouTube does cancel your account, I'm not sure how it goes about creating new accounts, but that's a whole other can of tuna. Um, Hello, Michael Moore. I mean, that's fair enough, Michael Moore. You don't have to watch the State of the Union, and I'm no fan of Trump myself. That's my own personal opinion. Having said that, I would point out once again, or I've talked about this before, there was a couple interesting Masonic connections in the State of the Union. The gavel that was, I believe it was actually displayed in front of the Speaker of the House, more so than the Vice President, is a Masonic artifact, and there was one Masonic pin spotted in the audience. Salutations, Brother Michael Moore. How's it going? I hope you're doing very, very well. Click. I'm not sure if the Bible is self-depreciating um, in nature, but okay. I think by definition, the Bible is meant to, not just the Bible, but religious texts in general are meant to encourage people and not depreciate or appreciate people, not depreciate people. It's like Freemasonry in that sense. The ultimate goal of Freemasonry is appreciation in some ways, not depreciation. We can, Mario Heat. In fact, hold on just 1 second. Nice. What time is it in Livonia? I won this a couple days ago. Or sorry, a couple days ago, jeez. Several years ago, 2017. I know it's backwards, but it's Mason of the Year award. So there you go. I thought that was really, really a real honor. I mean, there is no like standardized national or even international award ceremony, but certainly different Masonic lodges will, they'll have Mason of the Year awards or special events or anything like things like that. So definitely different Masonic lodges will have different awards. I think it can definitely be helpful, without question, for Masonic lodges to um, try to do something to recognize those brethren who are working very hard within their lodges through a Mason of the Year type of thing. I got that in 2017, so it's been a while, but yeah, 2017. So it's crazy to think it's been that long. What are Vanguard awards? Insight, we do not serve Satan. I'm very sorry to disappoint you. Freemasons do not serve Satan. Thank you, Sarah. That's very kind of you. All right. We're going to put this guy in a timeout. Actually, we're going to get rid of this guy in just 1 second. Here we go. Whether you are Jewish or not makes no difference to being a Freemason. We have many different Masons, many different faiths. As one of the greatest things about Freemasonry is that it welcomes men of all different faiths and beliefs and backgrounds, ethnicities, religions, whatever it might be. Thank you. I'll take it. I like these shirts, actually. These are I've always thought these are like my most comfortable shirts, my favorite type of shirt. How is it going, everybody who's here? Thank you for being here. Again, we're going to start talking about the Masonic Connection State of the Union in about 40 minutes. For the time being, we're just going to hang out and wait to see who joins. Again, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. And thank you for hanging out. Let's see. Do you remember me? I'm Willow. I don't know if I remember a Willow, but good to see you. What's your question, Goods Time? I don't think I saw it. There are ceremonial swords. They're honestly dull as heck in different degrees. They're not really used as weapons. They're used ceremonial sense to represent, security, safety, knighthood, depending on the degree and the nature of it. So, Mason rituals, I've been taken part in, seen, witnessed, been involved in, over 1,000 Masonic events all around the world, including Masonic rituals and ceremonies. Never have I seen anything that would be traumatic, nor have I ever seen anything that would be considered illegal, immoral, or against one's civic, religious, familial, or other responsibilities. Well, good times, then I'm weak, but you're still here, so. He was watching me doing the push-up challenge, but you're getting the cats mixed up. Rascal was my old cat back home in Winnipeg. My current cat is Bandit. So I do miss Rascal. I've always been a cat person, more so than a dog person. Just like you Dad, you grew up with cats. You had 3 cats, if I recall, as a kid, so. Rascal, Bandit. I never even thought of that, but yes, both of my cats were named for, you know, uh, shall we say, mischievous ways. So I guess thug would make sense for the next one. Um, any advice for young men? I am 21. Oh, the real rituals, sure. I always hear that. That's silly. There are no such thing as, I mean, every ritual is a real ritual within Freemasonry. Bullsack, I mean, it's been so long since I've been a young man. I mean, I still try to feel like I'm a young man. Um, but I still feel like a young man, even though I'm 42 years old. I don't know if I have good advice. I mean, find a community that you like, find a community that you care about. Um, Figure out what you want to do, and there's no rush. Take your time. Even when it comes to Freemasonry, there's no rush when it comes to joining Freemasonry. So, yes, by the time you're age 21, you can join. However, that doesn't mean that you have to join when you're 21. Join when you think you're ready. Join when you want to join. Join when you think that um, you're ready. And if you don't want to join Freemasonry, then find something that speaks to you. It can take a while. Try different things. I guess what I'd say is there's no rush. Um, well, but that's true. That's like the question, Mr. Keeps, when did you stop beating your wife? Like, there's no good way to answer that argument. Again, I've said this before, because you can say that when I get to the 33rd degree, right? Like PMS for Christ, that's an interesting name, um, is saying there's more degrees above the 33rd, right? All you can do is rely on your common sense, your judgment, your well, I'm not going to tell you not to listen to your parents, Bullsack. I guess what I'd say is talk to your parents. Um, what matters is, again, your observations and your reasoning and judgment. So, again, I've been a Mason for just about 20 years. I've visited Masonic lodges around the world again, in the Philippines, in Brazil, in Colombia, in North America, South America, England, Scotland. It's one of those things where at a certain point, I just have to be able to say, I've seen enough, witnessed enough, and had enough experiences to be confident within my observations and within my judgments of Freemasonry. Now, at the end of the day, of course, I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, then I guess I'll find out in the next life. But you can't live your life like always assuming your observations are incorrect or your firsthand account is incorrect. That's not a, shall I say, that's not a healthy way to live. Um, I mean, what I'll say is I wish you the best of luck in following your dream. And look, it absolutely, I believe is, I love professional wrestling, so I wish you best of luck. Even if this camp doesn't work out, you're still young, so maybe try again. Be a sponge would be my advice. That's a pretty good advice for life, I think, which is whatever you're doing, whether it be a WWE camp or whether it be anything else, especially when you're younger, just be a sponge. Listen to as many different people as you can, take as much advice as you can. Always be observing. You have two ears and one mouth, which means you should listen twice as much as you speak. And that's true for when you first join Freemasonry as well. Just pay attention to everything around you. Try to learn as much as you can about Freemasonry, about the lodge, about, the brethren. Be a sponge. And I think that'd be good advice for professional wrestling as well. As someone who's been involved in professional wrestling, and has been grateful to be involved in professional wrestling, I wish you the best of luck. And again, I would say, Bullsack, just keep talking to your parents. I'll never suggest anybody ignore what their parents say, but you have to do what you think is right as well. I guess find a way to work with your parents in that context. We are hanging out another half hour. We're going to start talking about, again, Freemasonry and the State of the Union, the two interesting examples that I saw. Now, in general, again, you could argue the entire State of the Union had to do with Freemasonry, of course, because, as I've discussed in the past, you cannot separate the condition of a Masonic lodge from the condition of the country in which it's located. So anything that is politically relevant will affect Freemasonry. However, there were some interesting and specific and unique examples worth exploring. I thought you were a fan of Trump, Mr. Keeps. There's a couple interesting Masonic connections, primarily in items that were seen in the State of the Union. The gavel behind the president that was displayed, I believe it was actually displayed in front of the Speaker of the House, has a Masonic connection. And there's a pin on a World War II veteran that appears to be Masonic. So, well, I mean, I guess ahead of the game, I was never a fan of Trump myself, but there you go. I mean, that's just my own personal opinion. I've never been a fan of him. Obviously, Freemasonry is not political, so different people have different views, but I never was a fan of his. So, and it does not shock me by any means that he was his behavior. I've not found his behavior surprising. Put it that way. Am I a fan of? I do not know who Melissa Ford is, Napoleon. Uh, I mean, all of DC is not Masonic. I think Albert Pike is buried in DC, though I'm not positive. I mean, I don't. I know, for example, he has a statue in DC. I learned he was born in Massachusetts, but he was a newspaper editor in either Nebraska or Arkansas. Um, Within the House of the Temple, Scottish Rite Freemason headquarters in Washington, D.C., originally interred in Oak Hill Cemetery in 1891, his remains were moved to the temple on December 29th, 1944. Arkansas, I guess it was. I always get where he was. I always get Arkansas and Nebraska mixed up. No offense to the great people of Arkansas and Nebraska. Well, I do not know who that is, Napoleon, so I cannot help you with that. So, Napoleon, welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I will say, when researching Masonry, I found Google is fairly accurate. It's not the best. Especially if you're going in for an academic type of paper or style of paper, don't rely on any artificial intelligence engine, whether it be ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok. But you can use it to get general info and then always validate that info, though. Is Caesar still around? I haven't seen him yet today. I mean, he was being foolish yesterday, but it's always hard to tell. I try my best, even when I think people are stupid or being stupid, I should say, to avoid banning. I mean, if I started scoring compass promotions with the goal of promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, then I cannot be banning people if they are being foolish, because then I'd have the whole point is I have to reach them more than anyone else. Having said that, I have started to go on a bit more of a banning spree as of late. Certainly, if somebody is talking to other people in the stream or getting into stupid fights with other people on the stream, then I'll ban them pretty quick now because that's just annoying and it doesn't contribute to anything. So it really just depends on the context. Yeah, well, there you go. Our Winnipeg Jets got the Medal of Freedom. I mean, it's one of those things where, again, you don't have to be a fan of Donald Trump. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but I can appreciate the goalie for the Winnipeg Jets getting a Medal of Freedom. It's like everything else in life, right? You have to find your way to. It's like a combination of things. It's true. You take the good with the bad, right? You can appreciate the Medal of Freedom award without also supporting the person who is giving the Medal of Freedom. You can support the person who got the Medal of Freedom. So, on a reminder, March 11th and 12th, I am taking part in the pub crawl for Medium. It's virtual, not in person, so I won't be going pub to pub, but rather I'll be going Zoom room to Zoom room, and I will be meeting with different writers from Medium, talking about the things I write about, and then encouraging them to check it out as well. Check out my content. I'll check out their content. So I might not have any live streams on March 11th or 12th, because again, instead I'll be focusing on um, discussing or focusing on the written content I produce. However, I hope you guys will be checking that out. That's March 11th and March 12th. I mean, it's interesting, Mr. Keeps. It actually works really well. Because basically, what you can do is, I mean, Masons should consider doing something like this. It had to be at a district level or a Grand Lodge level, but you register for the meeting, and then you can basically go to a series of different rooms with different topics. So I can click on, one link and go to a room, and they might be talking about, ways to write in the first person effectively in Medium. And then I'll go to a different room, and they might be talking about ways to create travel blogs on Medium. And then you may go to a different, you know what I mean? And so you can do that with Freemasonry, where you have a single governing body, but then you have, they host one room where it talks about the responsibilities of a secretary, and another room where they talk about visitation, and another room where they talk about Masonic history. And you're basically able to kind of click from room to room. And if you find it interesting, you stick around, and if you don't, you go to the next one. We did a virtual beer and cheese tasting in my Masonic lodge a few years ago. It was a blast. So yeah, it was really, really fun. It's about being creative, and believe me, when it comes to creativity, there's a lot of stuff you can do in the virtual space. You can be pissed off all you want, Gooey, but you need to calm down, or else you're going to find yourself in a timeout. When people get pissed off, maybe timeout's the best. I don't want to treat you like a toddler who is put in timeout when he gets pissed off, but that might happen. 20 more minutes, they're going to start talking about Freemasonry and the State of the Union. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button. Over 3,600 subs, so thank you to everybody who made that possible. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Let's see. And 22 votes. 73% did not watch the State of the Union. 27% did watch the State of the Union. So there you go. About of my audience, 75%, three-quarters did not. The thing about the State of the Union too was it was so long. Like, it was crazy how long it was. Oh, I think we got Smokey the Clown in. It was the longest State of the Union speech ever. I haven't even watched the entire thing yet. But again, I found the Masonic connections therein. So we shall see. Um, but yeah, that is March 11th and March 12th. I've got the pub crawl. And how's it going, Smokey with the Hearts? By the way, I'll be back on at 1 a.m. tonight, so that should be really fun. I hope you guys will join me for that. The 1 a.m. streams are definitely the more infamous streams, excuse me. Was what a Netflix documentary? There was a Netflix documentary about Freemasonry. It was done by the United Grand Lodge of England. I believe it was on Netflix. I think it was fairly well done, to be honest. So I saw a couple episodes and I was impressed by them. I mean, your intentions may be pure, but your message is gobbledygook. Click. So we're just going to wait. COs jumps in the chat, says hello. In the meantime, as I noted before, we're going to be talking about the State of the Union, the Masonic connections therein. I never said I had any spiritual integrity, Click. You seem to be making a lot of assumptions about me that I have never said. I mean, I like to think I have integrity. Now, whether you think it's of a spiritual sort or not is up to you, um, I suppose. But yeah. I mean, I guess what I'd say is you have to decide whether I have integrity or not. If you think I don't, then you don't have to stick around on this stream. You can even start your own channel and you can talk about your negative views of Freemason if you want. There's nothing I can do to stop you. It's completely up to you and how you wish to proceed. I would not say I have the moral high ground as a Freemason. You could argue maybe I have an ethical high ground, which is a different thing, right? Morals and ethics are different. That's why when I talk about Freemasonry, I always try to say, and I may have spoken incorrectly in the past, but I always try to say I have a ethical, I have a Freemasonry provides ethical lessons. Morality has to do more with spirituality and your views on what it means to be a good person in a more universal sense. Ethics relate to how you interact within your groups and so for example, a profession will not have a code of morals. They will have a code of ethics. I think Freemasonry provides a lot of very valuable ethical lessons, such as tolerance, respect, charity. And I think that you can take those ethical lessons and potentially apply them in a moral to your day-to-day life. But I'm certainly not any more of a moral person than anybody else. I never said I don't have integrity. I never said I had spiritual integrity. I think I have integrity of other sorts, but you can decide that for yourself. Well, we do not. If we had cannibalism in the group, I would not be a Freemason. So there you go. Never heard the term hullabaloo and poppycock in like over a decade. What are you, from the 1920s? You got to pick your spots. I don't always handle it with class. You got to pick your spots, right? about to say, yeah, hullabaloo and poppycock. Was I born? I mean, you're not born into, um, you're not born into Freemasonry. One of the things about Freemasonry that they really emphasize, and I always um, really appreciate about Freemasonry, is you cannot be born into it, right? You have to join of your own free will and accord. So what that means is, um, it's kind of the same way you can't be made a Mason after you pass away honorarily because you have to join of your own free will and accord. So if I was born into Freemasonry, that would be an issue because I wouldn't be choosing to join. You can be born into a family that has Freemasons, like mine. My dad is a Freemason, as are both my grandfathers, but you're not born into Freemasonry. I guess the best you could say is I grew up with a knowledge of Freemasonry and what it is and how it operates and kind of the basic ways that it makes the world a better place. But you're not born into Freemasonry. Having said that, I definitely always assumed sooner or later that I would join. I guess because growing up and seeing, for example, seeing my dad in Freemasonry, seeing going to the Christmas parties and all the rest of it, I always recognized that it was a good organization and a good group and something I always assumed I would want to be a part of. I joined when I moved to Windsor and when I realized I'd be living in Windsor for a little while. When I joined, I didn't know if I'd be staying in Windsor or going back to Ottawa, to be honest, but I still stuck around. Um, and yeah, I found it that way. So, brother Michael Moore, are you finding that the stream is buffering? Um, is anybody else finding that the? I found it fascinating as well, Dad. Is the stream buffering for anybody else, or is it just for Zohabe? Um, all right. How often do you need to drink of the goblet to retain your shape? Class just started. Uh, so Charles Watson, the founder of IBM, may have been a Freemason. I have no idea. I will say one of the coolest technological things I learned about was that Steve Wozniak was of Apple Computers is a Freemason. Interestingly enough, to everybody joining us, please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Mozart was a Freemason. I know that for sure. So the founder of IBM could have been a Freemason. I'm not aware one way or the other. But my goal in life, I have many goals in life. Let me rephrase that. One of my goals in life is to get Steve Wozniak on this channel to talk about his Masonic journey. But, so far, no luck. I've reached out a couple times, but so far, no dice. But maybe one day. No, Freemasons do not have a New World Order goal. There is no goal within Freemasonry in the way you're describing it because Freemasonry is decentralized. So every jurisdiction will have its own set of goals and desires and plans for the craft. If I had to think of in a general sense, a Masonic goal, I suppose it would be the continuation of the craft. Beyond that, there's no desire for world domination or New World Order or any of that nonsense. So there you go. I would love to get Shaquille O'Neal on to talk about his Masonic journey. I think that would be absolutely incredible. He talks about it a lot, the Logical Penguin. Absolutely. Like I regularly see him discussing his his Masonic journey. So, I've seen pictures of him repping the Masonic ring. It's interesting because he was made a Mason on site, to my knowledge. But he's remained very active, and I think he actually went through degrees at a later time. So, good for him. I would love to. I don't know. I've tried to send him messages through LinkedIn and through Instagram, but no response. I think he's a third degree. Yeah, he's Prince Hall. Um, I think he's third degree. I mean, when you're made a Mason on site, technically you get your all of your degrees, um, right? That is kind of the that is kind of the issue. Not the issue, but when you're made a Mason on site, normally it means you're automatically at the Master Mason. But I believe I could be mistaken, but I believe that he did in fact go through the degrees after being made a Mason on site. Class just started. When you say no, what do you mean by no? What is the no to which you refer? And by the way, we still got about 70-30. No, did not watch it. Just finding my information. Start another 10 minutes or so. I am not a 33rd. I am the highest degree you can get in Freemasonry, which is the third degree, despite what people say. I am also an 18th degree Scottish Rite Mason. I'm also worshipful master of my lodge. So. Waiting to see if I can find the info now. There are no black belts in Freemasonry. However, I did train in MMA a little bit and took some boxing lessons as well. Hold on just 1 second. All right. Yeah, we'll wait another 5 minutes. Whether you're 30s, I mean, don't get me wrong, having a 32nd degree is a great honor, as is, for that matter, having a 33rd degree. However, I think the most important thing to remember is whether you're 32nd degree or 33rd degree, the highest degree in Freemasonry is the third degree, right? That's the thing that matters the most. And even then, I shouldn't really say that. You can have a very active Masonic life as an entered apprentice, for that matter. But if you're talking about hierarchy and rank, or people will ask questions like, what kind of level are you? What degree are you? What rank are you? How high up are you? The proper way to think about it is Freemasonry doesn't have ranks or levels. It has degrees and offices. The highest degree you can get in Freemasonry is the third degree, and the highest rank you can have in Freemasonry is either the worshipful master of a lodge, or maybe you could argue the installing master of the lodge. Now, there are Grand Lodge offices, such as District Deputy Grand Master and Most Grand Master. You could argue in some ways those are higher degrees, are higher offices, excuse me. but I never really think about it that way. Um, One of the ways I always kind of think about it is I don't know if you've ever seen um, um, Star Trek Generations. Michael Moore, I think you're a fan of Star Trek, if I recall correctly. I could be mistaken. But there's this scene where James Kirk and Captain Picard are talking to one another, and James Kirk tells Picard, never let them make you an admiral. Admiral, never let them take you out of the bridge. You know, captain is where you have the most power and the most control of your destiny, is where you can do the most good. That's kind of the way, in some ways, I view Masonic offices. Yes, I suppose you could argue that within Freemasonry in general, the highest office is the most worshipful Grand Master within a particular jurisdiction, um, district deputy within a district, within a lodge, worshipful master. However, in my experience, being the worshipful master is the office through which you can accomplish a great deal for your lodge, and it's where you remain the closest to your brethren. So that's always been the way I kind of think about that. I liked, I mean, I was always a Next Generation fan myself. I never really got into the original series. I guess what I'd say, Corvin, is I'm not a fan of war in general, so I would hope not. That's a political question, though, and Freemasons have many different political ideas about, positive and negative when it comes to war with Iran or any other political questions. But I would say personally, I hope not, um, for obvious reasons, right? I don't want to see anybody be harmed or anybody be hurt. At least, oops, hold on just one sec. I just dropped my sweatshirt. There we go. I do not know what Draco is. Well, I mean, Don Juan, official. I mean, if you own a Masonic item, whatever it is, a ring, one of the quote unquote Masonic Bibles, or maybe Masonic costumes from a degree, then you own it, right? So it's yours to do with as you please, including sell it, including return it to the lodge. I mean, hell, you could throw it in the trash if you wanted. I would hope you wouldn't do those things. The one way a lodge, in theory, could fight against that is, let's say you have like a past master's jewel or something, and the lodge would like it returned to them upon, let's say, a member's death or a member moves or whatever. They could have them sign some type of contract or a statement that says, like, I recognize that while I have physical possession of this, the ownership belongs to Masonic Lodge number 500, and I shall return it to the lodge upon my death. I'm responsible for its safekeeping. If it is lost, destroyed, or harmed, I will, pay the appropriate, recovery costs or something. But I'm not aware of any Masonic lodges that do that. So as a consequence, you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, I would hope that you would keep it safe and return it to the lodge, but it's not up to me. The individual gets the final say. And also, it could be that the person selling it is not a Mason himself. He may have found it at a pawn shop. He may have been passed down from his family and given to him. He may have been one of those people who buys storage lockers and finds stuff therein. Um, Again, that's on the Mason himself, right? That's on the Mason to, he has the responsibility to, first of all, let his family, his executor, the people in his will, know he has these Masonic items and what he wants done with them and where they are to be returned and who the secretary of the lodge is and all that good stuff. Um, right, that's kind of one of those really important things. A lot of Masons, I think, forget about that. And that's why so many Masonic items end up in pawn shops or being sold online or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, look, if you own something, whether it's connected to Freemasonry or not, you own it and it's yours to do with as you please. I would just hope that you would return it to the lodge. Oh, so many jewels. Do I believe in evil? I mean, sure, I believe in evil. I tend to believe that true evil is actually weakness at its core. Um, I tend to believe evil is a secondary quality. The primary quality is weakness, and then evil springs from that. At least that has always been my experience. One of the movies that I've recommended a million times is Bug, B-U-G. I think it's a really good example of how loneliness, isolation, paranoia, fear, mental illness, all of these things can manifest in ways that outwardly appear to be evil. And the consequences are in some ways evil, but the actual cause of them is weakness of a sort, right? I think Mr. Keeps, if he's still there, watched Bug Bug at my recommendation. I'm not sure what he thought of it, but I think he watched it. All right, so we're 1 hour in, first 60 minutes in. All right. Yesterday was the State of the Union address, clocked in actually at the longest State of the Union address in history. The second longest was actually Bill Clinton at, I think it was 1 hour and 28 minutes. However, the United Grand Lodge of England posted on their socials, eagle-eyed viewers amongst you may have noticed the George Washington Gavel at the State of the Union address last night. The gavel has a remarkable history, first used... That's stupid, class just started. That's a very stupid thing to say. I'm a Mason. I've been truly initiated, and I announce my membership all the time. Stop arguing with each other in the chat. It's dumb. The eagle-eyed viewers amongst you may have noticed the George Washington Gavel at the State of the Union address last night. The gavel has a remarkable history, first used in 1793 by President George Washington to lay the cornerstone of the United States Capitol. Learn more about the gavel, and then hashtag Freemasons. So, Potomac Lodge No. 5, F.A.A.M, so F.A.A.M, has a web page regarding the gavel. The George Washington Gavel, one of the most visible aspects of the Masonic fraternity, is its long tradition of ceremonially laying the cornerstone of public and private buildings. This tradition contains great meaning for Masons and ties the fraternity closely to many cities around the country, including Washington, D.C. Originally prepared by Brother John Duffey, a craftsman and a Freemason, the marble gavel was first used in 1793 by President George Washington to lay the cornerstone of the United States Capitol. At the conclusion of the ceremony, Washington gifted the gavel to Valentine Reinsel, the head of Potomac, who had assisted Washington during the ceremony. Reinsel kept it safe in his possession until his passing, and then returned back to the lodge for safekeeping. Throughout its 225-year history, it has been loaned out by the lodge to lay the cornerstone of several other edifices across the district and the United States, including the Washington Monument, the Smithsonian Institute, and the National Cathedral. And actually, it's really cool because you can click a button and you can make a program request. Potomac Lodge No. 5 continues to perform ceremonial cornerstone layings with the George Washington Gavel and also offers educational programs on the gavel's history. If you would like to request the gavel's presence at your event, please contact us via postal mail addressing your letter to the following address: Potomac Lodge No. 5, F.A.A.M. He was not a Mason, Bolsack. I've never seen any indication that he was. 1212 Wisconsin Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C. Describe your event and how the gavel will participate in it, being sure to include all relevant dates and times that the gavel's presence will be required. Please also send an email to secretary@potomac5.org in advance of your written request in order that we may review it in the most timely manner possible. Please remember that your request must be deliberated by Potomac Lodge No. 5 as a group. The following considerations will play into the lodge's decision. For programs within 3 hours driving distance of Washington, D.C., submit your written request no less than 2 months in advance. For programs more than 3 hours driving distance of Washington, D.C., or requiring air travel, please submit your written request no less than 6 months in advance. The gavel must be accompanied by a minimum of 2 members of Potomac Lodge at all times. If multiple presentations or extended display hours will be required, a larger gavel committee may be necessary. Due to the gavel's age, Potomac Lodge no longer permits its handling or actual use in ceremonies by anyone other than the trained gavel committee. Finally, please remember that the gavel is accompanied at all times by volunteers from Potomac Lodge No. 5. Although no fee is charged for the gavel's presence, it is customary to reimburse the lodge for costs associated with the gavel's appearance, such as travel, food, and lodging costs. Your expectations in this area should be detailed in your letter to the lodge. Thank you for your interest in George Washington's gavel. Potomac Lodge No. 5 considers it an honor to safeguard this important piece of history and looks forward to the opportunity to share it with you and the other attendees at your event. I wonder if, out of curiosity, who the I'd wonder out of curiosity if there was a volunteer from Potomac Lodge No. 5 at the State of the Union who was required to be there because the gavel was on loan. All right, Travis, you need to calm down a little bit. The Daily Beast wrote an article about this as well. Republican Mike Johnson is set to become the first House Speaker in history to display George Washington's gavel during the State of the Union address, the U.S. Capitol Historical Society announced Tuesday. The historical gavel was first used in 1793 to lay the cornerstone of the United States Capitol building, the People's House, and the physical manifestation of our democracy, the group said in a news release. Since then, the gavel has been under the care of Potomac Lodge No. 5, the oldest Masonic lodge in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Capitol Historical Society said it worked with the lodge and Johnson's office to get the gavel to the rostrum for President Donald Trump's first State of the Union address of his second term, which marks the 250th anniversary of America's founding. There's a really cool picture of it. George Washington Gavel, Potomac Lodge No. 5, F.A.A.M. I'm going to post a picture of that in my social media, just so guys can find it. So I thought that was a really cool little moment. Again, this is not meant to be political. I personally am not a big fan of Donald Trump. I've said that many times. I don't think he's a good president. That's my own personal opinion. However, some Masons may support him, some Masons may not. The point is, every Freemason decides for themselves. But I think in a non-political idea, I think it's very valuable to see a Masonic artifact at the State of the Union address, regardless of which president or which party is giving the speech. Also, so Freemasonry with Fluff, the old-fashioned Masonic podcast, also copied, "Do we spy a Masonic pin on a World War II vet at the State of the Union? named George Buddy Taggart. And then you can see what looks like a square and compass on his lapel. Hold on just one second. George Buddy Taggart is a Vermont World War II veteran. He was recognized at the State of the Union. Hold on just one second. Let me pull up his info. A World War II veteran from Vermont will get a special honor from the president. Sources tell WCAX that Castleton's George Taggart, better known as Buddy, will be one of President Trump's acknowledged guests during Tuesday's State of the Union address. Taggart is a World War II veteran who turns 100 years old on July 4th. In 2023, WCAX News shared the story of Taggart finally receiving his high school diploma during a special ceremony put on by his local American Legion post. And then actually I found this article. Members of the American Legion Post 50 in Castleton gathered Sunday to award one of their veterans a gift he never thought he'd receive. George L. Taggart, or Buddy, has been a member at Post 70 for over 70 years, spends a lot of time there. Sunday was a very special day for him as the Legion gave him his long-awaited high school diploma. Something I never expected to get, how would you after 80 years? I mean, I've had a few nice things in my life. This is right up there. Taggart was just a teenager when he enlisted in the United States Army. Unfortunately, he was drafted before he could graduate high school. You had to be in your senior year before you could graduate. I sat there that day. My father was in the First World War, so I went and enlisted. The Crippen Fellow Post 50 heard there was an application for veterans to receive their high school diplomas through the Department of Veterans Affairs, and Taggart's family thought it would be a great way to honor his hard work, to thank our veterans from the service that they have given this country to our community. He was 17 when he left to serve in World War II. He's a Purple Heart recipient. He's been through a lot, said his daughter. Members of the community stopped in to see Taggart get his diploma, including the principal of Fairhaven High School. So again, it's interesting because when I try to do a Google search, I'm not able to find any information confirming whether he was or is not a Mason, other than, again, the pin on his lapel. And you can see it in, for example, several pictures that have been posted on social media. So I can't confirm if he is a Mason or not. Again, having a pin is not automatic confirmation that you are a Freemason. However, the fact that he's older, I would suspect he is, right? Freemasonry had a boom period in the 1950s, driven primarily through returning veterans from World War II. Just like after World War I, you had a significant Masonic boom period in the 1920s, driven by returning veterans from World War I. And it definitely looks like a Masonic pin. Here, I'm going to do something I don't like to do, but nonetheless, I'm going to switch this camera around and show you guys a picture of the pin. That's it there. If I could get a better view of it, maybe I would be able to confirm. The Old Fashioned Masonic podcast reported this. Well, I'm free fallen. I'm sorry about that. That your father's not a good man. I'm lucky my dad was a Freemason and a good man. Still a good man. But not just being a Freemason doesn't automatically make you good. Just like being the member of a gym doesn't automatically make you fit. It's up to the membership themselves to put in the work and the effort. Smithfield Masonic Lodge, number 182, uh, wrote this. Last evening, during the State of the Union address, a powerful moment of history and fraternity quietly unfolded. President Trump recognized 99-year-old World War II veteran George Buddy Taggart of Charleston, Vermont, as he was honored before the nation. Brother Taggart wore two pins on his lapel, the American flag, and just beneath it, his Masonic pin. So here's the information. Brother Taggart is a longtime member of Lee Lodge number 30 in Castleton, Vermont, and was proudly wearing his Grand Lodge of Vermont 70-year service pin. Approaching his 100th birthday on July 4th, he is soon to receive his 75-year service pin in a remarkable testament to a lifetime of dedication to our craft, his country, and his community. Adding even deeper Masonic significance to the evening, George Washington's Masonic gavel was prominently displayed beside House Speaker Mike Johnson. That very gavel was used by Brother George Washington to lay the cornerstone of the United States Capitol in 1793. The gavel is preserved by Potomac Lodge No. 5, Washington's Lodge, and was especially arranged to be present for the address. From the founding of our nation to the greatest generation, the quiet influence of Freemasonry continues to be woven into the fabric of American history. Smithfield Masonic Lodge proudly recognizes Brother Taggart for his service, longevity, and steadfast example of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Happy early 100th birthday, brother. So, again, so I don't have confirmation of this. This is coming from a post from Smithfield Masonic Lodge in Smithfield, Ohio, but it is stating that Brother Taggart is a longtime member of Lee Lodge number 30 in Castleton, Vermont, and was wearing his 70-year service pin. Again, it tracks the great boom period of Freemasonry was the 1950s, led by World War II Masonic veterans returning from World War II, returning from fighting overseas, joined many Masonic lodges. And that's where you saw this great boom period. In the same way, after World War I, you saw a boom period of Freemasonry in the 1920s. From returning World War I veterans. Do you think Trump wears... I've never seen Trump wearing... I do not, Rando. I do not. And it is a chat for everyone. Well, governments have secrets, but I mean, that's kind of, that's the nature of not just governments, but everybody has secrets, not just government, right? Human beings have secrets. You keep secrets for a variety of reasons. In the case of government, I would think primarily would be for security purposes. Governments can't just let all information be known. They have to consider things like security, national security, safety, the safety of their, military operators, as well as spycraft. Spirit of Justice, you missed a couple Masonic references. George Washington's gavel he used in 1793 was on display behind President Trump, I believe next to the Speaker of the House, and a veteran who was turning 100 by the name of George Buddy Taggart, was honored, and he was wearing a Masonic lapel pin while being honored. I found a Facebook post stating that he is Brother Taggart is a longtime member of Lee Lodge Number 30 in Castleton, Vermont, and was proudly wearing his Grand Lodge of Vermont 70-year service pin. I'm just trying to find confirmation of that. Maybe the Grand Lodge of Vermont confirms the membership. I mean, nothing but respect to all the veterans of World War II. My grandfather on my mom's side was a veteran of World War II. I mean, it's nothing but respect to them, right? Whether you were infantry, Air Force, Navy, oh, here it is. United Grand Lodge of England also confirms the same. All right, so that's two, or is it? Let's see. Just pulling it up right now. He was in like 4 wars. Well, he was in Korea as well, right? I could be mistaken. We have never found the corner yet, is the problem. They're always laid at the northeast angle, but famously, the cornerstone at the Capitol building has gone missing. Oh, here it is. Okay. I found a George Taggart F.A.A.M. Lee Lodge number 30, Castleton, Vermont. All right, I guess we can take it. I mean, that's a couple confirmations. So yeah, congratulations to George Buddy Taggart, recognized during the State of the Union, a World War II veteran, honored before the nation and well-deserved to be honored before the nation. Member of Lee Lodge number 30 in Castleton, Vermont, proudly wearing his Grand Lodge of Vermont 70-year service pin while receiving his honor, and well-deserved. He's also led quite a life, not that being a World War II veteran isn't enough of an accomplishment. He recently received, after 80 years, his high school diploma, and I believe this year he'll be receiving his 75-year service pin as well. So his 100th birthday will actually be on July 4th. Talk about American as apple pie, born on the 4th of July. So congratulations to George Buddy Taggart, who will turn 100 years old on July 4th. Congratulations also to Lee Lodge of Vermont, and congratulations to the Grand Lodge of Vermont. Oh, we have another example here. Yeah, belongs to Lee Lodge number 30. Thank you, Raj of God. I appreciate that. I hope that you're doing well. I hope everybody joining us with the like and subscribe button. And congratulations, George Buddy Taggart. And congratulations to Potomac Lodge number 5, F.A.A.M, for having the cornerstone of George Washington displayed behind President Trump, I guess next to Speaker Mike Johnson. Again, I've said before, just because someone is wearing a pin doesn't automatically mean that they're a Freemason, although, right, it obviously stood out. Being a World War II veteran, it would make sense that he would be a Freemason as well. So, there you go. Let's hope not, Kentai, or sorry, B710. In my opinion, one of the ways we can potentially avoid another world war is by having greater civic institutions within our countries, including, not limited to, Freemasonry. So there you go. Just gonna share that as well. I mean, maybe B710. Nobody can know, right? Nobody can know what's going to happen. So I don't want to pretend like we can know or will know what's going to happen, but I think the best chance we have to avoid it happening, again, is to focus on civic and civil engagement. So that'd be my best advice for whatever it's worth. I've said this, I've talked about this story before. One of my favorite movies recently was House of Dynamite. I really liked it. There was this scene where basically House of Dynamite, if you've never seen it before, basically there is a nuclear missile detected over the Pacific Ocean. It's traveling towards the United States. It actually is aimed at Chicago, which makes me very sad. I love Chicago. And America doesn't know who sent it or who fired it. And obviously, everyone else in the rest of the world is terrified because they don't know if America is going to blame them for sending it and if America is going to, choose to attack them in retaliation. They don't know what's happened, but they know that there's a nuclear missile heading to America, and if America chooses to retaliate, against whom will they retaliate back? People are considering it's the end of the world. Nothing's going on. It's a movie, B710. It's a movie. I'm talking about House of Dynamite. And again, by the way, what part of Chicago do you live in? I love Chicago. I post a lot about Chicago. Again, going back to what I was saying, in the movie, the United States detects a missile that is heading towards Chicago. They don't know who sent it, and they're all trying to figure out if they can determine who launched the missile. Anyways, there's this one great scene where the Russian defense minister is talking to the American minister responsible, for defense, or I think it's an undersecretary for defense. But anyways, Russia is freaking out that America is going to retaliate. Russia is trying to convince the secretary or undersecretary for defense that they didn't do it, or Russia that they didn't fire the missile because they're terrified of retaliation. And at one point, the undersecretary for defense in America says, if we get this wrong, nobody's alive tomorrow. Because their whole point is, if we get this messed up and we retaliate and then you retaliate upon our retaliation, that's nuclear war. That could be the end of the world. And it always made me think when I saw that, what if both the Russian minister and the American official, what if they were both Freemasons and somehow knew they were both Freemasons? Would they have more trust in one another? Would that help to calm tensions? I have no idea. I mean, there has been examples in the past where you absolutely have seen Masons within governing and government bodies. Those Masonic connections have helped to smooth out or encourage diplomatic relationships. Churchill and FDR were both famously Freemasons. However, and also actually within Iran, within Persia, joining a Masonic lodge was very often used to assist in diplomatic missions and envoys to France, for example. However, there are also many examples where the opposite has taken place, or not the opposite, but where You have had world leaders, both of whom were Freemasons, and it did not assist in any type of diplomatic smoothing things out diplomatically. So I have no idea. My point is, I do sometimes wonder if we had more civic engagement within our communities, could that then lead to more trust between nations, especially during times of heightened stress or tension? Well, that's why it's important to pay attention, B7. I have a place in Des Plaines, Waukegan, Kenosha. So you have four places? You must be doing quite well financially. That's very impressive. Um, where is, I'm trying to think where all those places are as it relates to, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Donald Trump. Okay, so Des Plaines is close to Glenview. That's where I always spend my time when I travel to Chicago. I'm always spending my time in Glenview, which is just a little bit northeast of Des Plaines. Um, okay, I love O'Hare. I think O'Hare is an incredible airport. The great one, please hit like and subscribe. I was not a huge fan of the State of the Union. I haven't watched it all yet, but I was a huge fan of the Masonic references therein. George Taggart and um, George Taggart and the Washington Gavel. Well, Chicago is just a huge city, right? So it has a huge underground for sure. I love visiting my Masonic brothers in Chicago. Very often, I make my way to Jefferson Park, um, Masonic Temple. I've been to Montclair Masonic Temple before. No, I mean, Chicago is, I can't say it enough. I've said it a million times. One of the greatest cities in the world, in my opinion. It is, and it's a great airport. I've flown out of O'Hare on several occasions. Always love it. Always thought it's wonderful. We're going to give it a bit more time. I'll wait to see who joins. I'm pretty much done this topic, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. In Chicago? Nah, Chicago's great. I mean, I don't live there. I can only speak to my frequent travels. I've been there. It's February 25th. I've been there three times this year. Um, but I adore not just Chicago, but the surrounding areas. Again, spending a lot of time also in Glenview, spending a lot of time also in Skokie, Morton Grove. We're just going to have a bit more time, see who joins. Any thoughts? Well, I gotta disagree with you on that one, B7. I mean, again, I don't live there, so I understand you may have a different experience with it than me. But I have said many times how much I love Chicago. I've written about how much I love Chicago on Medium, posted about it on YouTube. I think it's an awesome, awesome city. So, but that's me for whatever it's worth. When you say just outside my window, do you mean the airport is just outside your window? What might be just outside your window, good sir? And we're just going to hang out, wait to see who else joins. Sorry, what happens? I'm guessing some type of crime. I mean, I've been to Chicago a bunch. I've never, never been the victim of crime. I've never felt unsafe. I'm sure, but again, there's crime in a lot of different cities, unfortunately. Um, I've always loved Chicago, and I will say, I've always loved, especially my Masonic brethren in Chicago. I've said before, I think it's really great city. So I'm hoping to travel back there in April, if not sooner, for before I maybe head to ANCOM in the Philippines. We shall see. I'm also trying to do some work with the Skokie, Illinois Holocaust Museum, because as I've talked about in the past, Freemasons were victims of, were put into concentration camps and were persecuted during the Nazi regime. Um, there is a famous, I guess famous is the right term for it, Masonic lodge started in a concentration camp, cherished liberty. And yeah, I've been talking to the museum there about that. Well, if I do go, there's still no guarantee, but if I do, it will be I'd probably fly into Manila and then go to Tagaytay, I believe is how you pronounce it, or Tagaytay, which is where the annual communication is taking place. But there's no guarantee. I don't know for sure if I'll be going or not yet, so we shall see. I was in Manila last year in June. Really beautiful city, very friendly people. Packed though, I will say that. Like I'm not used to cities being that densely populated. I traveled to big cities, Toronto, Chicago, Detroit. Everything felt like smushed together. Remember I was up in my Airbnb and I got a really nice view of this city. I'm looking out over like I'm looking out over this city and I was amazed at just how jam-packed everything looked. It was crazy. It was awesome, but it was crazy. But a really cool place, really cool people. I loved it. So loved my Masonic brothers. I met a whole bunch of them. They were all awesome. B7, have you been to the Philippines before? And if so, where have you been there? I'm familiar exclusively with Manila. So also, I will say a lot of stray cats, and as someone who loves cats, I don't mind that at all. They're friendly too. As I was wheeling down the street to get to the Jose Rizal celebration, or memorial, I made friends with quite a few cats. And as someone who, if you know me, you know I love cats. Thought that was kind of fun. No. I would hope not. I've never heard of any Masons being tortured for the secrets, and for God's sakes, don't. Um, and if anyone wants to go to that trouble, you're a very foolish person because you're not going to learn anything that's going to make you rich, make you famous, make you successful, or help make you feel better. So don't be torturing anybody. How about that? Again, I never felt unsafe when I was in the Philippines either. And when I was in Rio, I was told the same thing. It's so unsafe. Never felt unsafe in Rio de Janeiro either. So, or Bogota, Colombia. Now, again, I'm not foolish. I'm taking precautions. I'm being smart. I'm paying attention to my routes. I'm not carrying a whole bunch of valuables on me. Yeah, it's about being intelligent and being smart. I just discovered a new system where you can register your travel with the government before you go anywhere. That way, if there's an emergency, they can contact you, or, if, let's say, the government learns of an emergency, they can contact you, like in Puerto Vallarta. When the violence started, people who'd registered in advance were informed by the government of the violence taking place and given instructions to shelter in place. So, but let's not be torturing anybody, please. So Rando1313, I've never heard of any Masons being tortured for their secrets. Again, I've heard of Masons being prosecuted. For example, in Germany, being put in concentration camps. I mean, Freemasonry is very popular in the Philippines for a variety of reasons. So, um, it's if you want to see where Freemasonry is doing really well, it's within the Filipino communities, both in the Philippines and abroad. Well, I mean, but they weren't put in. That is torture to be persecuted and put in a concentration camp. What I would say though is it wasn't done with the purpose of getting any Masonic secrets. It was done basically as a form of persecution, political persecution. In the same way, when they're persecuting Jewish people or LGBT or other groups, they weren't doing so out of a desire to gain any type of secrets. It was simply political and racial discrimination and religious discrimination, or persecution would be the better way to put it. Um, I did notice this statement, speaking of the State of the Union. This is from CNN. So Donald Trump was trying his best to focus on the American economy being strong in his State of the Union. As CNN notes, affordability, not economic strength, drives voters to the polls. Most Americans don't care a lick about GDP, CPI, PCE, or any other acronyms or data points that show the economy is on the right track. Americans or voters care about their job security and those financial fears that keep folks up at night. Figuring out how to pay for groceries, housing, healthcare, car payments, college, and childcare, all of which keep getting more expensive. So the question is, as those things, groceries, housing, healthcare, payments, car payments, college, and childcare, as those things keep getting more expensive, at what point do they get so expensive that things like Freemasonry, paying your dues for Freemasonry, attending lodge, take a back seat to trying to save money or make money, which I think is a legitimate concern. I've been saying that forever. Economic conditions affect Freemasonry, as much as you may like to think otherwise, or as much as Masons sometimes try to claim otherwise. If you're just joining, please hit that like and subscribe button. We are at 3,000, over 3,600 subs. So let's keep up the good work, and thank you everybody for all of the support. As I noted again, I'll be back on at 1 a.m. tonight. Well, you should be sleeping at that time, Mr. Keeps. You work for a living. I mean, I work for a living too, but I do this. So I don't have to wake up early. I can, wake up at usually 9 o'clock, 9:30, which is different than people who work, office hours. I certainly could not be doing the 1 a.m. streams if I was at my old job and was getting up at 7:30 to be at work for 9. And don't forget, March 28th, 2026, we've got our community services fair at the Windsor Masonic Temple. If you are in Windsor, Essex, Detroit, come on down. We'd love to see you hang out. It'd be great to have you join. We're going to have, it's 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're going to have police, potentially fire, Masonic chip program, a lot of really great services. So I hope you guys will check it out. And sorry, do you mean the community services fair? March 28th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So that's Saturday. That's the last Saturday in March, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Windsor Masonic Temple Ballroom. The Windsor Masonic Temple, I should say. If you want to support the channel, consider doing a super chat, subscribing, hitting like, all that good jazz. Sharing the stream with others would be very, very helpful. For the time being, though, we're just going to wait to see who joins and who wants to hang out. And any other questions you guys may have. I also hope you guys are supporting my push-up challenge, maybe doing some push-ups with me. I have 2 days left, which is crazy to think. 2 days until the push-up challenge is finished. So, which I think is absolutely nuts. But it's been a great, 2,000 push-ups over 23 days, all to support mental health. The 2,000 number is to represent those who have been, the 2,000 people every day who take their lives through self-harm. So, and every day there's been a different number of push-ups, and each number has a, meaning behind it. Today we did 60 push-ups to represent the 60 minutes of physical activity per week that can help improve people's mental health. Right, CNN also reports here, affordability problems. Thank you, B7, I appreciate that. Wealthier Americans are benefiting financially from the positive economic trends, while lower income households are increasingly finding themselves left behind. That K-shaped trend isn't new, but the gap between the haves and the have-nots have been widening in recent years, particularly as the housing market remains largely frozen. Folks who own homes, particularly those who refinance with historically low rates during the pandemic, are for the most part better off than people who are trying and mostly failing to find anywhere affordable to live today. Rising prices for the necessities have hurt too, and curtailed social services haven't helped mattered. This has led the most vulnerable to make difficult choices. I don't know what you mean, Mr. Keeps. I don't know what that emoji is. That has led the most vulnerable to make difficult choices. Delinquencies are on the rise, and a growing number of Americans are more than 3 months late on their loans. So, does that create a concern where Freemasonry will become more of an organization for quote unquote people on the upper end of the K-shaped trend? That means wealthier Americans. Because again, if you are a American who is facing delinquency or delinquencies on loans, or are more than 3 months late on your loans, do you really have either the emotional or mental space for Freemasonry? Right? Either in the sense of, are you just going to put aside money to pay your dues if you're delinquent or facing delinquency or 3% on a loan? Or if you have the choice between going into your job, taking an overtime shift, and attending a Masonic Lodge meeting, are you more likely to take the overtime and take the money? because you feel financially insecure or your savings are dropping. Or you may maintain your dues, but are you going to attend Masonic celebrations, dinners? Like I can tell you, when I first joined a Masonic lodge back in 2007, um, come on down, Mr. Keeps. You can make it. It's not that far. It's just what? I don't know how far. It's not that far. You'll be fine. Um, is it when I first joined Freemasonry in 2007, right? I mean, if you charged $50 for a dinner, that was a huge deal. Like that was considered way too much. I remember people were like complaining about how expensive a $50 dinner is. Now, I'm regularly seeing dinners, tickets for Masonic dinners costing 130, 150 per 150 for a ticket. And so if it's husband and wife want to go to this Masonic meeting together, that's $300 right there. Can people who are struggling with, let's say, delinquencies afford $300 to go out to a dinner? Or are they going to deal with their delinquencies, start looking at and focusing on um, or asking the lodge to help? um, I'm not opposed to credit check, Spirit. Oh, hotel recommendations. I'll send you a message because there's a few I can think of. So I'll send you a message with some ideas. I mean, if you do want to come down and check it out, I would say the best one is the best one is, well, there's Caesars, but there's also the DoubleTree. Those are really good ones. Or heck, I mean, if you want to save some money, I'm sure you could crash with me. Though let's not make it a habit of people. And I'm not giving that as an open invitation, just for the record. Not making that an open invitation to everybody, but I can give you some hotel recommendations as well. Or if you want to save money, we'll talk. I do not know who Marconi is, Squirrel Sniper, but leave the squirrels alone. For heaven's sakes, leave the squirrels alone, please. But I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Hit that like and subscribe button. Well, I'm trying to think who Macroni is. Oh, the Pennsylvania Macaroni Company, founded in 1902 in Pittsburgh Strip District by Sicilian brothers Agostino Salvatore and Michael Sunseri. Originally focused on making handmade pasta. Was he a Mason? I don't know the connection. I'm looking them up on Instagram because I'm curious. Maybe when I typed in Macaroni 1902, it autocorrected to Macaroni 1902, a Pittsburgh pasta company. Thank you, Dylan. When I type in macaroni, again, it keeps on automatically like going to pasta. As above, so below. I'm not being able to find anything about him in Freemasonry. Okay, let's see if I can figure this out. He could have been a Freemason. I mean, Freemasonry, Garibaldi, I can't think of his name now. Garibaldi, the father of unified Italy, was a Freemason. Oh, here we go. An engineer and former senator of the Kingdom of Italy. Guaglielmo Marconi. Was he a Freemason? Wouldn't shock me if he was. Uh, Guaglielmo Marconi, this is AI overview, is generally considered to have been a member of Freemasonry. He is frequently listed among famous inventor Freemasons and has been identified as a brother with the Grand Orient of Italy. Okay, so yeah, he was a Freemason. There you go. At least most likely. Um, Squirrel Sniper, please hit like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. That's very interesting. Again, many important political figures in the 18th century were Freemasons. Jose Rizal out of the Philippines, Simon Bolivar out of Venezuela, um, Garibaldi out of Italy, several within Persia. So yeah. By the way, Squirrel, if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, then please consider doing a super chat, just 99 cents. That engagement helps out big time. Fluoride, please hit like and subscribe. I don't believe in reincarnation. Some Masons may, depending on their religious beliefs. I'd be one who'd be very hesitant to believe in, for example, not just reincarnation, but I'm very skeptical of the um, supernatural in general. I think actually one of my views has always been knowledge of my mortality is actually a very helpful thing in terms of encouraging me to focus on what I can do today and in my lifetime to create a better world, because I might not ever get another chance to be here, or I won't get another chance to be here. It's kind of my philosophy. So that would be my philosophy on that. What are your thoughts on reincarnation? I'm assuming you maybe believe in it if you ask the question. I have no idea, fluoride fountain, because I don't know what that would actually mean. Like, does that mean after I pass away in the next life, I'm given an opportunity to be reincarnated and I can choose how I come back? Does it mean I remember my past lives? I would need to know way more about the details before I said yay or nay. I mean, you can believe in reincarnation if you'd like. It's not something I would believe in personally. But hey, to each their own. Freemasonry is not a religious organization, so I'm sure there are some brothers who follow religions that allow for or have views on reincarnation. Thank you, Smokey. 3 days, then you and I are streaming together on your channel. Just let me know send me the link so I know, so I can join you. The link and the time. You can do it through the Discord. Okay, Floyd. So if you don't mind my asking, is that based on your faith? Like, it is your faith one that believes in reincarnation? And if so, which faith is it? I understand, like, I believe Buddhism and the Hindu faith allows for reincarnation, if I'm not mistaken. And I suppose the better question to ask is, what if you don't want to come back? What if I'm happy to just have one go around? Well, I mean, I've not seen any observations that I would necessarily say confirm that. But again, you know, it's not my place to judge one's religious beliefs. And by the way, Philly favorites voting is still open. I'm going to mention that as well. We've got, if you still want to vote for your favorites in Philadelphia, it closes Friday, February 27th. Vote for the Philadelphia Masonic Temple in a couple different categories. I posted it on my social media accounts. You should check it out for sure. Philadelphia Masonic Temple is a crown jewel within Freemasonry, without a doubt. I have no idea what that is, Squirrel Sniper, but please hit like and subscribe. We're going to give this another, let's say, couple minutes. Then we'll be ending the stream for now. I'll be back on 1 a.m. Mr. Keeps, I'll send you that information. And if you want to come down, it's a Saturday morning, so it'd be great to have you join. Kentai, I am not sure what you're talking about. I usually don't know what you're talking about. Again, I don't know how old you are, but in my opinion, it's never too late to, for lack of a better term, to try again. If you had plans in your life and you feel like you can no longer achieve them, I don't believe that is the case. I absolutely think it's possible that you can still pursue your plans and your dreams. I don't think they can be stolen from you. So whether you are 20 years old, 50 years old, or in the case of Buddy Taggart, 99 years old, I think you absolutely can still achieve a great deal with your plans, despite people trying to hijack them. So I wish you the best of luck in that. And I'm very sorry if you know, for any struggles you've gone through, but it's never too late. It's never too late. I don't think people can necessarily even hijack your plans. I think people can definitely try to put roadblocks up and try to stop you from achieving your plans. But then it's up to you to find a way to bust through whatever it is that they're putting up. All right, we're ending this stream for now. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. I'm going to be posting some really cool stuff on social media very shortly. So make sure you pay attention for that. See you guys soon.